Nubia has just unveiled its new model Z70 Ultra. This device uses the Snapdragon 8 Elite and also integrates a dedicated button for the camera, but it is not like the one on the iPhone, as it is located in a slightly more reachable way. What's more, it's a button that is physically pressed all the way down and protrudes from the body for a much more professional experience. Although in this case, when you press this button in between, it's going to focus, and when you're done pressing it, it takes the shot just like the physical shutters that traditional cameras have. So in that sense, yes, it could be attractive to have the focus adjusted beforehand and save that little bit of time, but it's included in conjunction with a 35mm variable aperture camera. Remember that the traditional camera that most smartphones come with is around 23 or 24 millimeters, so it's a little bit wider. In the case of the main camera on this device, we see 35 millimeters, meaning it's a little bit closer, which is a perspective that many photographers will value. We've seen that in past generations, but what's new is that in this generation, it now has variable aperture from f1.59 to f4.0. So you as a photographer are going to be able to open or close the aperture completely to your liking to get the desired effect. It has been presented in 3 colors. The first is traditional black in combination with red highlights. There is also a cream edition, also with red highlights. And the traditional Banggood version is still present, Starry Night. This device has a completely perforation-free display, so it has a diagonal of 6.85 inches. 1.5K AMOLED resolution with 144 Hz obviously will find stereo sound as well, and the front-facing camera is 16 megapixels. It's underneath the screen. It's said to be next generation. Possibly in conjunction with artificial intelligence could greatly improve the image in photographs, but we would have to see in videos if they are able to do the same. This camera has f-aperture 2.0. While on the back, the 35mm camera has a 50-megapixel Sony IMX906 sensor with optical stabilization, and as I was telling you, variable aperture. The ultra-wide camera is 13mm and also has a 50-megapixel sensor. In this case, it has f-aperture 2.0, which is something very outstanding. Normally, ultra-wide cameras are not so bright, but in this case, it is a positive thing. It also has autofocus, so it also has the ability to be used as a macro camera. And finally, the telephoto camera is 64 megapixels. Curiously, Nubia does not detail in the technical specifications what is the focal length of this lens. So we only know that its aperture is f2.48. Therefore, we could somehow infer that it will be a camera perhaps 70 millimeters. So it will not have such an exaggerated zoom. In fact, the back of the device reads 50x as its maximum zoom, although the advantage over the last generation is that in addition to being a telephoto camera, it is also a telemacro camera, so it can focus a distance of 15 centimeters, and considering that it is a zoom lens, it could definitely give you spectacular macro photographs. One thing that the manufacturer wanted to highlight a lot about the design of this device is that the bezels are 1.25 millimeters thick. They are symmetrical bezels, so it has a very nice front design. The utilization that it has of the front is 95.3%. We'll also find IP68 and IP69 as resistance on this device, so it can get to be submerged and even resist hot water jets. This device debuts in a way an operating system called Nebula AI OS. As usual, in the middle of 2024, artificial intelligence appears in the names of all products. So this will be no exception. It is an operating system whose main focus will be voice commands according to what can be seen in its official videos. However, this has to be considered for China. It remains to be seen if when it has a global launch, it will have these same capabilities with voice assistant, or in this case, it will opt for Google Gemini as most Chinese manufacturers do. However, also in design, we see something different, minimalist and attractive. Through voice commands, you could adjust all camera settings. This for China. It also has tools to make translation of chats or even some calls. It is also able to study documents to answer any question. It can also summarize documents or make essays. And something focused on photos with artificial intelligence is that you could do search based simply on words. So you could tell it find my pet photo and it would be able to show you the results. Also, through artificial intelligence, it brings in functions to create different portrait styles with your same face. Even make a kind of caricatures or alter your hair so you can see how your look would look with long hair or short hair. As I anticipated, it integrates the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor to make all this possible. It also has LPDDR5X RAM and UFS storage. The battery is tremendous. It has a capacity of 6,150 mAh and supports 80-watt cable charging. In China, this device also incorporates satellite communication, but this is surely a feature that will be lost when this device has a global distribution. It weighs 228 grams and is 8.6 millimeters thick. The most basic version has 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage and has been announced in China at a price of 4,599 yuan. This is approximately $635. There are obviously more expensive editions with 16 gigabytes of RAM and even 24 gigabytes of RAM or a terabyte of storage. I look forward to getting my hands on this device soon so I can share with you an unboxing, review, and even some comparisons if you wish.